Join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta show. Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. All right. Nice start. Big day. Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta show. Come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you. Thanks, sir. Thank you for the time. All right, welcome into a Monday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here from our Click Here digital campus on this Monday morning, and built by RMB Builders, just like we are every single week. Good Monday morning to you. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. Happy early Thanksgiving to you. Great week. Usually a great week. High school football in action, playoffs happening, getting down towards the end of college football season. College basketball getting into swing as LSU picked up two nice wins in Charleston over the weekend, including an overtime win versus Wake Forest yesterday. We'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to dominate our discussion this morning by what happened this weekend inside Tiger Stadium, and LSU got another convincing win. Look, this time over a opponent that they're supposed to beat in Georgia State, but they take care of business 56-14. Nobody's talking about the score. Nobody's talking about the offense. Everybody in the country is talking about Jayden Daniels, who accounted again for another 500-plus yard game on offense. This time he did it next to 8 touchdowns. Threw for 6, ran for 2. We're going to talk all about it. Daniels has inserted himself as the front runner and leader in some areas around the country of the Heisman Trophy candidate and discussion. All of that we'll break down here on the Jordy Culotta Show as we get going here on this Monday morning. Remember to hit that like button, share button, comment button as we get going. If you have not subscribed to the show, we appreciate your subscription. Before we get going, we'll talk all about this weekend in the SEC and what LSU was able to accomplish on the field. But we got to start with Jayden Daniels. And Daniels this weekend, really, I believe it seemed like if there's any more naysayers out there, if there's any more people that doubt this, and I know that there's beat writers around the country that are pulling and trying to vote for their guy and show that Bo Nix is that guy, that Michael Penix is that guy. But when it all comes down to it, I think the people who are watching the games, who are paying attention to college football, really understand and really believe that Jayden Daniels is the best player in college football. And on Saturday, that again was on display. I know that Georgia State is not the opponent that you may play week in, week out, but what good players and what good teams do is they take care of business when they play down opponents, and LSU did that on Saturday night. Daniels was, again, electric. 5 incompletions. He was on the field for 8 possessions. They scored in all 8 of them. And it was in Daniels' fashion. He was throwing with touch, with accuracy. He was making the right reads. He was throwing guys open. He was running the football efficiency. He was running the offense efficiency. Lloyd and I were talking when we were coming in. You know, if you were there on Saturday, and I didn't have a chance to be there, I was watching on television. Jordan was sick. We had tickets. Shout out to Tom Granning. Tom had gotten into touch with us on Saturday, or on Friday, actually, and we were looking forward to it, and little Jay woke up Saturday morning just not right, and we couldn't go out there. I mean, he's still not right, actually. And
the kid's like, I think I'm good. Like, bro, you're not good.
Yeah.
I want to go. I
like
get
4
it.
o'clock, he was like, can we go? I was like, man.
No, it's not worth it. It's over.
We could, but it would be just a disaster. And so we were really late. We made a fire. We had food we ordered in. I mean, dude's sick. You know what I mean? So
not a bad way to take it in.
We laid in, watched football all day, and but
a terrible day for that to happen because there's not very many good games.
That's right.
But LSU has become like it's a ticket it's a must watch.
And the reason why I wanted, really to get him there and watch that is because you're watching history.
Mm-hmm.
You're watching something that you may not be able to watch again in that stadium. It was the same type of feeling when you were watching Burrow and the offense operate in 19. Burrow was the story, right? Like Burrow was the centerpiece, but it was more about the team too. The 19 edition of LSU football was a complete team and program that was, really when you were watching it, you were thinking, could this be the best team ever? And now that, history is kind of writing for it's recognized, if not the best team of all time, it's definitely in the discussion of it. I mean, every time that argument comes up, it doesn't take long for the 2019 LSU football team to get there. And Burrow, again, look, he was lighting the world on fire, and he was doing things that LSU, especially offensively, just had never seen, or it seemed like it had been since Tommy Hudson and Rohan, since you had seen things that were happening offensively. Now with Daniels, it really is, now that the team is, kind of out of the national spotlight as far as what they can accomplish from a postseason standpoint, they're out of the league race as far as the title goes in winning the SEC. This whole thing's about Jayden Daniels, and it should be. And I'm not saying that it's wrong for it, because usually in a team sport, you hate to make it about one person, but when the story allows it, you really got a grip onto it. And I think this is it. This is about Jayden Daniels. The announcer the other night was like, should they leave him in the game? Should they take him out of the game? Leave him in the game. Play this guy as much as you can. Get the ticket buyers as much return on what they're purchasing as possible. And for Brian Kelly, he was kind of at a loss after the game, but he did admit some things that I think for a coach is probably tough to do, especially if you've been in it for 30 years. This is Brian Kelly after the game in the post-game press conference after LSU offensively, again, just kind of lights the world on fire, has everybody in the country speaking, watching, paying attention to what Daniels is doing. Kelly was asked, is he the best you've ever coached? And I thought his answer was, in the moment, it was fantastic.
The opportunity to talk about my players, I'm going to do it. And I think I mentioned that. And I think in this case, I'm going to use my opportunities to talk about my player. And I think he's the best player in college football, and every opportunity that I get, I'm going to make sure that people understand that. His efficiency, the way he takes over the game. If you're on the other sideline, you just kind of, how do you defend him? They tried to blitz him. That didn't work. They dropped 8 in the fourth quarter. They just said, all right, we're just going to drop 8. And that didn't work. We've seen virtually everything this year, from trap coverages to, every kind of configuration, and it just hasn't worked. So I'm going to talk about him as much as I can.
Offensively, they are exactly what you envisioned we were talking about going into the season. When you looked at these weapons on paper, you thought, man, how are you going to defend these guys? Right? They just kind of keep coming at you in waves. And LSU's been fortunate enough to see teams that have had weapons, guys that you could put the ball in their hands and change a scoreboard within, one move. And this team was going into the season, it was like, I don't know where you're going to take stuff away from this team and they're not going to be able to, compensate it. And it's been better than you could imagine. I never thought that it would be as dynamic, as electric, as unstoppable, really, as it is. And that was Kelly saying, look,
I don't know how to stop him.
They've thrown everything at the offense.
And that's what felt the same thing with like Burrow in 2019 was like you've seen everything when Auburn came out and dropped 8, and it took him a second to figure out. But it's like they're terrified of what he can do offensively. For Jayden Daniels, what he's doing, there's no answer right now, and it just feels. And that's what leads me to kind of like my question is I wonder if how important this is for Brian Kelly in year 2 and his kind of like legacy of win 10 games, first year SEC West champion. This year, it's kind of like a black eye with the defense and what could have been. But if he's able to check another box of like, hey, I got you a Heisman winner, that's what will be talked about more than the defense if he's able to get him to the Heisman where he scores. You see Bo Nix, like everybody was watching the Bo Nix game. He scores 6 touchdowns. The Heisman like conversation shifts, and then it becomes, well, here's Jayden Daniels with 8.
Yeah, no, it would be a huge feather in the cap for Kelly if he would be able to salvage a season in which, look, for all intents and purposes, you've got to look back on this season if you're LSU with a ton of disappointment if you're inside the program from what could have been, right? Like, I mean, you've got to look at the defense and think if you were just average to just slightly below average, you could pull off what could be a magical season, but they are horrible. I mean, there's no other way to put how bad the defense has been this season. They came out against Georgia State, and they couldn't stop them. I mean, like, they were running right at LSU. I mean, finally, it just talent prevailed. But, I mean, they had LSU defensively on their heels.
Score for score.
I mean, it was blow for blow. They were running right at him. They were running the ball straight up the middle of the gut. I mean, like, as an SEC team on the field with, like, it is what it is. It was embarrassing, right? I mean, again, but it is right. I mean, it's just you have to come to accept that. I mean, the further you get away from this year, I mean, I think back on 2013, I think back on 2012, really, and think the year that LSU has, don't let me confuse you. I know we're talking dates, years, numbers.
They're all run
together. I'm talking
together.
about 2013. I'm talking about Mettenberger, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Jeremy Hill. I'm talking about that offense where you've got a 1,000-yard rusher, a 3,000-yard passer, and 2 wide receivers who go for 1,000 yards. I mean, like, an offense that came out of nowhere, right? Like, I mean, I say came out of nowhere. From LSU football standards at that time, it was very much the norm that you had first-round picks, top-end talent coming through here. I mean, you had seen Reuben Randall. You had seen guys that were coming through here that were supposed to be good, but they just didn't throw them the ball. They couldn't get them the ball. Here was an offense that you could, but all along the way, you were winning with defense. Like, no matter what, for as bad as the offenses were, and they were putrid at times, you always had a defense which was giving you a chance to win. That's why you'd win 13-12, 6-3, 7-3. I mean, 9-0. I mean,
beat your chest about it.
I mean, it was horrible football.
LSU football,
right? I mean, it was like watching grass grow, paint dry, but you had a defense, and then out of nowhere, this offense shows up. I mean, led by Cam Cameron. Les Miles is, shoving his finger in his ear, wearing his hat all goofy, looking at the scoreboard, and he's got maybe the best offense in the country, but yet they can't field a defense that year. They got no DBs. They got no defensive linemen. Anthony Johnson and Lakacher are playing like 80 snaps a game. Or it wasn't Christian Lakacher. It was Ego Ferguson and Anthony Johnson were the defensive tackles. The DBs were young. They were inexperienced. They had missed on some guys in recruiting. And defensively, they were terrible. They couldn't stop anybody. And in a year where you finally had an offense, you couldn't field a defense of all the years. And here at LSU, I'm not saying that they had to go back to the retro defenses. I'm not looking for Claude Roten. I'm not looking for Ricky Jean or Glenn Dorsey to walk through the door. I was crossing my fingers hoping that you could get to average, slightly below average defensively to support this offense and give yourself a true chance to win it all. To win it all. I mean, watching college football again, laid up on Saturday from 9 in the morning till midnight, watching coast-to-coast college football. There's no defense in the country that can stop LSU. Not one.
Oh, and you saw it on Georgia State's defensive coordinator's face half the game, where he was like, he literally facepalmed during the game. He's like, I don't know what to do. You can't judge me.
Well, I mean, Georgia State, they had a great game plan. I mean, if you look at the time of possession, LSU only had the ball for like 23 minutes. But, I mean,
they scored every time
they touched it.
It's
like Steph Curry. It's like, we had more possessions than him. We're like, yeah, well, he made every shot he took. Like he and literally Jayden Daniels made every shot he took. He led 8 drives. They scored 8 times. What are you going to do? I mean, like, you had the right game plan. You played keep away from him. You didn't let him touch the ball the majority of the time. It just was every time he touched it, he scored. And you didn't. I mean, it's amazing how bad they are on defense, though. And to be this bad with an offense this good is going to haunt the fan. Like, you're going to look back on this year, the further you get away from it. You think it's frustrating on Saturdays? You think it's frustrating on Monday morning? You think it's frustrating Wednesday when you're going back and watching highlights from the weekend? Wait till 3 or 4 years from now when you're looking back and you're like, man, because that offense just doesn't shake out the tree. I mean, it doesn't fall off the tree. Even if Bryce Underwood commits. And you got Shelton Sampson, and you got old boy from Duncanville, the big wide receiver, DeCorian Moore.
DK Moore.
You got Caden Durham. I mean, you got Harlem Berry.
You got Caleb Jackson just wanting to play.
Jackson. I mean, you got all these guys, but I mean, like, who's to say that you'll ever see this offense again?
You won't until you get, if you get a Bryce Underwood, it feels like that's why it almost tickles him a litof bit to be like, I can do this in this offense. Like, it feels like they play a similar style of football where if you put me with LSU and you put those type of playmakers around me, then you might see it again because Bryce Underwood is
this good.
Well, we'll see. But I'm saying he's like he is 5-star, whatever. You can't base everything off of high school, but what Jayden Daniels is doing, I feel like he sees himself in this offense going, yeah, this is what it could probably look like. Now put a defense around him.
And look,
because that's the only thing.
Not the 2011 edition of defense.
If you're,
I mean, like, you could be the 2007, you could
be the 2013 defense.
No, you couldn't be that bad. You couldn't be that bad. They had, like, just do something good.
They don't.
They do nothing well.
And thank God
they do nothing well.
That you don't have Pauline on special teams because they tried to pooch punch you 3 times and they
Coach,
made a play.
Defensively, it is amazing how bad they are. Like, and I don't mean to
went
beat
right
the
down
dead
the
horse,
field.
but I mean, like, they were just like butter.
And for everything we're talking about Jayden Daniels, it's almost helps his case. Where it's like, okay, I have to go score. I have to play more.
Yeah.
And if you're watching, like, closely, that could be a thing that could maybe be a knock against him where y'all are tied 14-14 with Georgia State. So you got to keep playing,
and they're coming at you.
No,
like they're like
there was no back down.
Right,
there was like, this isn't a gimmick.
Like, guys are like trying to make draft tape. Like, guys are like trying to make a name for themselves.
It's so frustrating, man, to watch it. And LSU continues on the defensive side of the ball, like jump off sides. They're getting free plays. They're going right at your corners where they're getting you're getting personal fouls. You're getting pass interferences. You're getting all these things. Like, you're on your heels the entire game.
And if I've got to continue to watch. And, like, I don't mean this despairingly, but I mean, like,
they don't know what to do with them.
In an NIL world, I think that players are now a little bit more open to criticism. Look, we criticize pros, and I think you're open to criticize a pro because the guy's drawing a check. You know what I mean? He's running this thing like a job, and when the money comes into play, I think it does open up criticism. And this isn't the show to bang on student athletes. I'm not here to be. But, I mean, watching Omar Spates play, knowing that you have Whit Weeks there, and you saw the tweet come out from Wes Weeks, the older brother of Whit Weeks, on Saturday night that said #free40. And this is the 3rd straight week where Whit Weeks has not played. And, look, whatever happened, whatever's going on, I'm sure people have heard. There's a rumor out there, and there's this hearsay that something happened during the bye week off the field with Weeks. Like, nothing physically, nothing, but like, some brush with the law. And rumor, that's a rumor. That's not confirmed. Nobody's said that happened. Nobody's reporting that. But something is out there. People are asking. People are talking. It's all over message boards. People are texting, wanting to know when the text goes out, the tweet goes out. I mean, that's like more gasoline on the fire to it, right? But knowing that you have that type of player, because whatever's happening with Weeks, whatever's happening internally, it's being handled. But the loss of playing time for players that make the team better will never make sense to me. Like, that's just something I don't understand. I think there's so many other ways to punish players and create and get discipline out of guys other than penalizing the team. Should the individual miss playing time? Sure, if it's deemed necessary. But if it's something that can be handled by simply waking up at 5 a.m. and running stadiums, like, get that stuff figured out so he can help the team and give him the ability to develop. Like, that's the part that I don't understand that LSU is missing on some of these young guys that you're going to look up down the line, and you're going to be in the same spot. You're going to be in the same spot where you've got Javian Taviano playing his first bit of action against Alabama on the road. Like, how does that happen? Because I've watched Taviano play now for 2 weeks in a row, and I got to be honest with you, I know he was flagged for a personal foul on Saturday and Kelly was getting in him, but I love to see that out of somebody. Somebody with a little bit of pride that if somebody gets in your face, I'm knocking his hand off my face mask and I'm going right back at him. Is it the mentality of the team and is it who you want to be? No, but is it some type of attitude that you need to have to show that you're a competitor, and that's something that LSU defensively has just not shown all season long? You've just not seen it. Just any type of swag, any type of, just where's the personality at? I mean, I got to be honest, when I saw 25 get the penalty, when I saw Taviano get flagged for it, I mean, I was like, about time. Keep that kid on the field, and where has he been? Why has he not been playing? I mean, and simply for the fact that he's more developed when you get to mid-November, and he's probably not making that play because he's learned 6-7 weeks ago that if he does, he's coming to the bench. But for whatever reason, they were a revolving door at cornerback at the beginning of the year, and this guy's sitting and watching. Meanwhile, he looks like the best competitor you got in the defensive backfield. It's just stuff like that. Like, whatever's happening with Whit Weeks, I'm not disputing whether it's a big deal internally to the program or not. But missing 3 weeks of game action to a guy that was trending to be the top tackler on the team in a defense that is, let's be honest, horrible. I mean, like, the worst. And you're going to sit that guy? I mean, other than him, like, doing and becoming like a felon, what makes sense? I mean, like, what could he have done to miss this amount of time where you still miss tackles? And the guy in his position simply is not as good as he is. That's the bottom line. Like, that's what it comes down to. That's what drives me mad, is that this defensive staff does not play the best players, period. And that's what I've heard from recruits. That's what I've heard from coaches. That's what I've heard from former coaches. That's what I've heard from people around it. So people telling me that this is some emotional take or that I'm not connected or hearing it, you're wrong. Because I'm hearing it from people internally, externally, and people that are curious on whether or not they want to go there. They're asking, why don't they play the best players? I'm with you. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
And that's where you get
something about he got picked up with a fake ID at a casino. Who cares? Run him in the morning. Run him. Tell him, meet me at the stadium at 5 a.m. You're running until your tongue is going to drop. I guarantee you won't do that again. But if you're the coach, you're thinking, you're not going to cost me. You're not going to cost me a game. Get on the field. Play these guys. Develop them. Get them ready to go. What the hell is going on? I'm not the one that's yelling and screaming about it. I'm yelling and screaming for the people that are asking the questions. The recruits, the coaches, the players, the people wanting to know, did they play the best players? Because it looks like they do on offense. I mean, people are like, where's Aaron Anderson? Aaron Anderson doesn't play because there's not enough footballs to go around. You got to feed 8. You got to feed 11. You got to feed 5.
Shit, 2 got out there.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Why didn't Taviano play? I got no idea. I got no idea why that kid can't play early in the year, because at the end of the year, he looks like one of the best competitors that the defense has.
And that's
period.
That's when you start to wonder if it feels easy to blame Brian Kelly in this, but he's an offensive coach who has his hands all over the offense. This is squarely falling on, I don't know about the discipline part, but defensively, at some point, the fingers start to point at Matt House, where who's making the decisions of who to play whom, what are you looking at? Because when you have your own brother tweeting free 40 who's on the team, and then you have Slade Roy tweet, like, they're forming a coup against him, because what you should be afraid of, not of him saving him to be a redshirt freshman next year, it's he's going to hit the portal, coach. Like, you don't think this guy's out there and they've seen the three games that we saw? We're like, yeah, he can come play at Alabama.
I mean, did you see the last couple of drives defensively in the game? Did you see the play that Quincy Wiggins made? I'm not saying that Quincy Wiggins makes that play against Alabama. I'm not saying he makes that play against Ole Miss. I'm not saying he makes that play
nice
against
to see it.
Arkansas. But I'm saying that on this defense, on this unit, that guy can't log a rep. He can't get a play. Like, that makes zero sense to me. That makes zero sense to anybody around football. And I've been told, well, he's a basketball player. He's not yet. That's fine. Okay, that makes sense to me. What doesn't is that he can't get 10 snaps. Because in the snaps that I saw on Saturday, and again, that was not the opponent that's the SEC West, so I'm not grading that film, but I'm seeing that he's got that type of ability.
Well, you don't even have to grade
just
it against the SEC West.
Get him out there against eight snaps, 10 snaps. And why not in a defense like this? Why not where you're just going to run guys into the ground? Do you not say, hey, go out there and give me a series? Like, just see if you can make something happen. That's the type of stuff that just makes – how does that make sense in football? And again, people say, well, you can't break the rules and get away with it. Okay, discipline them. There has to be better ways to discipline somebody than missing 3 straight games when you're the team's leading tackler. That makes no sense. Unless you're trying to run the Marine Corps, unless they've signed up for something other than winning football games in the SEC, that doesn't make any sense. There's still ways to create discipline by not getting them off the field. You're making the team suffer. Like, and if it's not for something that's as egregious as, like, missing 3 games to somebody that could be the leading tackler on the team if he plays, and quite frankly, to a position that he's the best player. He's the best player at the position. It's clear. How does he not play? How does he not play? I mean, that has to be a fair question, right?
Well, then this is where it comes down to, this is what's going to get Brian Kelly in like a little bit of hot water within Louisiana and how he wants to do his team, because it's such an easy line to draw of, is this Notre Dame South that you're trying to do? Where you have whatever's alleged with Weeks. It's not murder. It's not like, look at what Nick Saban does and how he runs his program. People get in trouble. Guess what you don't know? You don't find out about it because he punched them internally, and it's not as glaring as he's not playing for 3 weeks because, like, it's become too obvious. Like, you can punish them internally and then still play a football game. But the way that he's handling it just doesn't make any sense to where people are going to start asking questions because, what do you do? And when you find out it's something not felonious, then what kind of program are you trying to run? Are you trying to win or what?
I get you. And people asking, why isn't this question asked at the press conference? It's been asked. I mean, Jacques asked the question. People have asked the question about weeks, and they're going to answer it to cover the program. They're not going to tell you what's going on. They're not going to tell you the exact story. They're going to tell you how they want to handle it. But there's obviously something going on. If you have players talking about it, if you have the rumor mill running as wild as you do, if you have people calling and asking and wanting to know what's going on, and it's not just the weak situation. I would point to the Taviano situation too. Like, what took that guy so long to get onto the field? And I'm sure there's something that internally they have that makes sense to them. But externally, when you see a player like that on the field and you've been wondering where are all the cornerbacks at, and you're like, you've had this guy the whole time? Yeah, Daily, we're brought to you by, Daily, we're brought to you by Go Roof, online at GEAUXroof.com. Get in touch with them. Our friends, 225-927-8300. You get a 2-year free workmanship guarantee with all new roof installations. Competitive pricing, free quotes, and free roof inspections. You can count on Go Roof for roof repair, roof installation, and roof maintenance for residential roofing, commercial roofing, and roofing repairs. Online, GEAUXroof.com, GEAUXroof.com, 225-927-8300. Get in touch with them today. And look, like I said, you get in touch with them today, they'll get up on the roof today, tell you what's going on, and work directly with the insurance company if you need a new roof. Take that headache out of it and get you right today. Online, GEAUXroof.com, GEAUXroof.com.
Might see weeks up there.
Huh?
Maybe it's a punishment.
Maybe so.
I
just...
At some point...
I just don't understand and never will in competition why the best players don't play. And like I said, when I was working with John Brady, 20 years ago, as a student on his staff, when Nick Saban was walking the halls, they were walking the same administrative halls in the admin building. Right now, LSU football was on floor 2, which is now the women's basketball floor. And Brady and LSU basketball were on 3, and they would see each other cross and pass, whether it was in the elevator one day. And one day I was with him, and Brady was talking directly about discipline to Saban. And it was about Damian James at the time, because Damian James was a 5-star guy coming out of high school. He was a big-time player. He made LSU better. And him and Saban always butted heads. From the day Saban showed up to the day that Saban ultimately threw him off the team. But all along the way, while they're going and butting heads off the field, Damian James started every game. Damian James never came off the field. Because I remember Saban saying to Brady in the elevator, he's not going to hurt me. And that's, that's how the great ones are. It's all about them. Saban's a narcissist. But it's probably what makes him great. But when he was young, before he had won any natties, and he's coaching the 01-02 team with Damian James, he's saying, this guy makes us better. He gives us the best chance to win. He's giving me problems off the field, and I'm handling it. He's getting up. He's meeting me at the facility. He's running the stadiums. He's staying after practice. He's doing everything that I'm disciplining him to make him accountable to the team, but he's not missing Saturdays because he's one of the best 11. And whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent, that guy is the best at what he does, and he said that's how he handled it. To me, that makes sense. I heard that when I was young. I heard that when I was very impressionable, and it stuck with me. That makes sense to me. There's ways to discipline players outside of hurting the team. And when you're signed up for a team sport, I think that there's a fine line whether or not you push the envelope far enough over the line, then you're off the team. Otherwise, you're going to get disciplined, but you're playing if you're one of the best 11 because you give the team the best chance to win. Now, you might have to pick up every pad after practice and put it in the facility. You might have to get to the facility at 5 in the morning and run 2 miles worth of stadiums before the day even begins. You may have to stay after practice for an hour and a half and stay with the coaches and work on whatever it is. Whatever it is. You're going to pay your penalty, but if you're one of the best 11, you're not missing 3 weeks. You're missing 3 games. And that's it.
Full stop. Pause. Full stop. End of sentence. Like, that's what it is. At some point, you just have to realize that this isn't the way that it works because you kind of, and I put it in the chat where people are they're asking, like, well, does Weeks and Taviano make a difference in this year? It's like, yeah. You don't want to see Whit Weeks against Alabama?
Kidding? You don't think that playing Deshaun Womack, Whit Weeks, and Javian Taviano the majority of the time don't change
the defense couldn't be worse.
A little bit of this defense? I mean, like, have you seen anybody else get 15-yarders for somebody putting their hand in their face and knocking it out of there like Taviano did on Saturday night? Is it the right play? No. Is it the play that you want to see from a defense that's 120th in the country? Dear God, please, please, just some sense of a heartbeat, just a little bit of competitive nature to you, just a little bit of attitude, just a little bit of don't mess with me. And I get to see it from the 18-year-old that didn't start until November. I guarantee you know who else has that? Deshaun Womack. Womack's got it. I don't know why he doesn't play. To me, he's one of your best 11. You know who else has it? Braden Swinson. I don't know why he doesn't play. I know Whit Weeks has it. I got no idea why he doesn't play. I mean, does it make him 80th in the country in defense? I don't know. But it doesn't make him 125th. It doesn't make him any worse. How much worse can it be? I mean, I watched Quincy Wiggins shed off of a block against a kid on Saturday night, get into the backfield and make the tackle in the backfield. Can he do that against Bama? I don't know, but he did it on Saturday.
For the first time I've ever seen.
I mean, put him out there for a series. What's going to happen? What's it going to do to you? You're going to get thrashed up the middle? That's happened all season long. It's happened all year. And now you go into the offseason with a kid like Womack, Weeks, and Wiggins pissed off? That doesn't make a lot of sense.
I just don't understand the narrative of, do you want the players to run the team? It's not.
Huh? What do you mean? Then what did you recruit them for?
It's not run the team. Like,
I mean, if you're coming in, you got rules,
open.
you got to follow them. But, I mean, at some point, do your rules make the best sense for you to win football games? There's ways to discipline players and get them in line and let them know what your protocol is moving forward without costing the team games. And I'm not saying that all these guys had brushes with the team rule. I have no idea what internally is happening. I got no idea. So, I mean, they may be in good standing. I haven't heard one bad thing about Javian Taviano. Not one thing.
No, but that's where you go back to the narrative of, I trust older players before I trust talent, is what it kind of come down to with Brian Kelly. It's like, I trust veteran guys that I know can play for me, as opposed to putting somebody out there that's young, which I guess I understand. But when it becomes this bad, when you're wasting a generational offense that you haven't seen.
Oh, it's wasted.
It's done.
It's done.
And that's why that's why obviously you want to push the Jayden Daniels Heisman narrative, which I think is a good thing. But when you look back on the season, you're going to look back and go, you scored 40 a game, and
I mean, well, look at the games you lost.
So I'm saying, there's people saying in the chat, like, oh, you're saying 2 players wouldn't make a difference? If it would make you not 120th in the country, then maybe you get one stop against Ole Miss as opposed to having to score every time you touch the football?
I mean,
because is that not what it felt like against Alabama? If you didn't score every time you touched it, you're out the game. You had one turnover.
Teams have to be accountable. Teams have to be trusted. Teams have to have internally the principles that you need to be great, and you can't cheat those. But there are ways to get there without costing your team wins, and that's just outside looking in. That's my take. I mean, that's that just. I can't it's maddening. It is maddening to watch the LSU offense play and see how great they are, and then watch the defense where it doesn't even seem like they can figure out who to play. Like, they don't even figure out who to play they can't figure out how to play the best players. That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Let's get back to Jayden Daniels, though. Brian Kelly had some more comments after the game on Daniels. And, again, this is the frustration comes from Daniels. The frustration is like, man, you can't get this guy an average defense? This guy is generational. Just when Burrow came in here and shook the days of Hodson alive, where you're like, man, this is you've never seen this. Here he is 5 years later playing the position at just a level that is untouchable, undefensible. There's no defense that can stop him. Kelly afterwards on his quarterback.
Starting to see how assertive and decisive. I think that's the word that I would use more than anything else, is decisiveness in throwing the football. When you're 25 for 30 throwing the football, the decisiveness and the decision-making has to be that way, and that's what you're seeing. Did you want to come on up here? Come on up. Come on up. It's okay. I don't want you to fall again, so you're doing good. What's your name? What's your name? Mason? Good to meet you, Mason. Come here.
Marwan 2.0.
All right. Try to keep it down. All right. Well, keep trying to do it. You're not doing such a good job. But decisiveness is really the most important thing for me as to what I've seen.
More from that was a good moment. More from Kelly. I believe there's one more on.
It was the opening statement where he really goes into what Jayden Daniels has done and what the offense has done, but it's a 3-minute diatribe of him. What you're seeing is unmistakable.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Take it all in. Hit it.
Well, it was a great performance again by our offense. 8 possessions, 8 touchdowns. What more can you say? It's been exciting watching them, and I hope everybody's enjoyed the efficiency in which they operate. I think Georgia State had a great game plan. They came in trying to hold on to the football. They had 35 minutes of possession time to our 24, hoping to, shorten the game. But we were just so efficient on offense. Daniels, again, 8 touchdowns, accounted for 6 touchdowns, 2 rushing. And what else was amazing was 25 for 30 for over 400 yards. 25 for 30 for 400 yards, the efficiency of that. Generally, when you see 25 for 30, you see short passes, screens, flares, things of that nature. A dominating performance from the offensive side. And I thought, after the 2 touchdowns that we gave up defensively, 2 plays that we, obviously felt like we should have, defended better. They settled down and did a nice job for the last 3 quarters, and were really resilient. Had some nice 4th down stops, and did a nice job defensively from that perspective. So, good win. These games are not easy. When you come out of the SEC after the emotions of playing SEC games, we've seen that. And many of the games that SEC opponents, SEC teams played against out-of-conference opponents, you saw that with an upset or 2 in some close games. But our kids took care of business. And
New Mexico running into Auburn.
It wasn't even close.
That was no fluke.
No, that was
31-10.
10 drumming.
It was a
that's
down.
That's part of why people can say that, we're trying to push a narrative or what have you about this, but that's what you're terrified of.
Of what?
If you have a defense like LSU does and you don't have the quarterback that you have, Brian Kelly's up against it if you don't have Jayden Daniels this year and what they're doing, because look around. It can happen to anybody. You can get caught slipping anywhere, and if you're in year 2 where you have a defense that is 120th in the country, you're lucky to have Jayden Daniels. Otherwise, you're looking at 6 losses in the face.
Jayden Daniels is
a savior. That's why he keeps pushing him.
His
godsend.
Good Lord, what he brings to a game, the stuff that he does, he covers up. What he does great is just it's.
And I don't mean for this to be like a negative show, because what you're seeing is historic. You see a quarterback that throws for 3,000 yards and runs for 1,000. Like, that doesn't happen often. But you're supposed to beat Georgia State, and I think you just don't want to gloss over the fact that you give up 2 straight touchdowns, and you're like, you're LSU and you're down 7-0 to Georgia State out the gate, like not even a stop. You get two penalties, and then you get 2 pass interferences on the defensive backfield where you're like, not surprised. And then you just assume that LSU's going to score every time they touch it. Like, that's the only frustrating part. Like, I know what's happening. I see it. But it doesn't happen very often. That's why it's maddening and also something that you should celebrate.
Yeah. No, it's
LSU.com.
Daniel's greatness is, it is and look, the coaches around Daniels deserve a ton of credit. Like Kelly said last week, for as much as criticism as Matt House and his staff are getting for the poor defensive play, for as many bouquets should be thrown at Mike Denbrock and his staff, specifically Joe Sloan for the development of Jayden Daniels, Cortez Hankton in the development of Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Kyron Lacey, Mike Denbrock and Brad Davis for the development of the offensive line, Denbrock and the vision for the offense, Frank Wilson on the running backs, Brian Kelly for overseeing the whole thing. So, there is a ton of compliments to what they are accomplishing on the offensive side of the ball. And it goes to the frustration of, if you could support the offense with, just what would be an average defense, this offense is writing records that, you'll look back on from an historical standpoint, and you're just going to say, my goodness, look at how good this team was in so many aspects offensively. There was a tweet put out, I believe it was by Bleacher Report on Sunday, of the offensive categories that Jayden Daniels, right now, Jayden Daniels is, let me get to the number one, but for after Saturday night, 509 yards, 25 of 30, 8 touchdowns. He tied Joe Burrow for the most touchdowns in a single game in LSU history on Saturday night. But from a perspective of a national outlook, after Saturday and after his accomplishment, all of what LSU leads in, all of what Jayden Daniels is at the top of the leaderboard. It's crazy when you look at the insane number. It's like a video game. When you watch him play, 17 of 26. It's crazy how, 25 of 30 on Saturday night. Just his efficiency again is wild to watch him play. And again, it's historic. If you've not been to Tiger Stadium to watch him, you got one more chance this Saturday.
And it's going to be a 11 a.m. kickoff, which some people feel like it's not fair. I get, because it should be. It feels like he almost has earned one more night game for Jayden Daniels, a senior coming out the tunnel, get that moment. But you're also going up against a Texas A&M defense that is not bad.
It's the Sporting News. Check out the Sporting News tweet. Jayden Daniels this season is first in quarterback rating, first in passing touchdowns, first in rushing yards among quarterbacks, first in passing yards and attempts average, first in rushing and attempts average. That's 100-plus attempts. He's third in passing yards, fifth in completion percentage with at least 300 attempts. He became the first quarterback in SEC history, alongside Johnny Manziel, to throw for 3,000, to rush for at least 1,000 yards. Was the latest accomplishment for Jayden Daniels on Saturday night. So he leads the country right now in yards per carry, not quarterbacks. And shout out to our friend Cody Worsham for putting this out. Jayden Daniels right now is averaging 8.2 yards per carry and leading the country in that stat, not just in quarterbacks, but as overall, and as we said, right now feels like the Heisman Trophy frontrunner. He is at multiple sport books in Vegas. But right now, as far as the NCAA rankings go, he ranks first in yardage at 4,591. He ranks first in touchdown passes with 36. He ranks first in total touchdowns with 46. He averages 417 yards per game, which he's number one in the country in. He's also averaging 10 yards per pass attempt, which is number one in the country. His numbers they're embarrassing. I mean, they are. I mean, he's number one in every category that matters offensively in college football. It is nuts of just how efficient and how good he is. Shea had a tweet on Saturday too, just kind of going into the numbers and going into the greatness of Daniels. It's hard to explain. It's hard to put into words how efficient and how great he is playing the quarterback position. I mean, you've run out of things to say.
Superlatives.
I mean, there's
and
only so many things that you can say.
People that are national writers that are saying things like this, where stop with the Jayden Daniels Heisman hype. He'd hold a clipboard at both Oregon and Washington, and this man has a Heisman vote and covers Oregon football. It's like, can you? I mean, get off. There's a lot of Bo Nix on your face.
I mean, you know that.
But to even put that out, like, what are you talking about?
I mean, but you know where that's coming from.
Yeah, John Casano.
I mean, but it's all about it's cheerleading for his guy.
No, but I think there's two different things. There's cheerleading for your guy and putting somebody else down, whatever. It just doesn't make any sense. You're not right. He would start at Oregon. He would start at Washington.
Well, there's no doubt he would. But I mean,
you can phrase it however you like.
Look at what's happening to his social media.
Yeah,
it's blowing up. I mean, I think he's kind of sitting back and reveling and just getting everybody stirred up and causing you were never going to get that guy's vote.
Verse 1, chapter 1 of the Glenn Gilbo Bible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you're never at no point were you ever going to talk John into voting for Jayden, right? Like, I mean, you're never going to get his vote. So, I mean, that's fine. I mean, if that's what you want to think, and if that's that's not true,
right?
I mean, like, I thought really our guy Preston
was that good for you?
Was it
a Preston guy?
Yeah, I mean he
went scorched earth. So did Jordy Worsham. That's what I'm saying. Like, people that are normally very measured in their media approach are like, what? Okay, here's some numbers for you. Like, if you're pissing those guys off, like, it's different if I come at you.
Right.
But for people like Jordy Worsham who are based in facts and are like, this is unbelievable that even I have to say something.
Yes, I mean.
But good job, John. You got your 2 seconds.
I mean, that's what he was looking for.
Was that good for you?
I
think she liked it. Yeah.
It was. I mean, you're never going to get that guy's vote, so I mean, don't even sweat it. Remember our friends over at A-Bears. A-Bears Specialty Meats got a couple of locations for you. One out in Geismar, one out in Gonzales, right there at the Dutchtown exit, and one in Robert's Grocery Store off of Highland Road. If you want to pick up your turducken, if you want to pick up your turkey for Thanksgiving, remember our friends over at A-Bears. Great and originated down in Maurice, and now with stops and locations here in Baton Rouge and Gonzales, including Robert's Grocery Store over on Highland Road, and a stop right off the Dutchtown exit in Geismar. Remember the gift cards, spending for every $100 you spend on gift cards over at A-Bears, they'll give you a $25 gift card for free. So for every $100 you spend, you get $25 gift card for free. Online, abearsmaurice.com is where you can find them online. And remember, stop in and see them. Baton Rouge location in Robert's Grocery Store off of Highland Road, and Gonzales right off of the Dutchtown exit off of I-10. Stop in and see our friends over at A-Bears this holiday season and pick up your turducken and your turkeys for your holiday meals. All right, hour 2, come back with us. We'll take your calls. We'll open up and have some phone calls here on a Monday morning if you want to get in and show some love for Jayden Daniels. Got any questions? Got any takes? Remember, you can jump in. New phone number this morning with Stewie out. We will update you on the phone number, and we will be back with more of the show right after this. Jordy Culotta Show, as always. Live here from Click Here Digital, Hour 2, brought to you by RMB.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life. Football is Joe Burrow.
Let's be special.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go-Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot. Oh, yeah.
Sticking the roof in.
Hey, Greg, the roof up?
Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Well, the Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together 2 great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
I'm Tom Granick with Go-Mart and Wardo's Po' Boys in Natchez, Mississippi. On behalf of the Granick family, we invite you to run, walk, or stroll in the 2nd annual Rudolph Roll. Held on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, this holiday event will kick off at 8 a.m. on December 9th and will include a 10K, 5K, and 1 mile kids fun run. Along with the race, there will be live music, drinks, and of course, Po' Boys. We're looking forward to an even bigger party this year. For more information, please check out the link on Wardo's Facebook page or scan the QR code. Hope to see y'all there.
Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com. If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Hi, I'm Gordon McKernan. Everyone has a special Christmas memory. One of mine is when I woke up on Christmas morning, ran down the stairs, and there it was, a brand new red bicycle.
That is why this Christmas, Gordon McKernan is giving away over 425 bicycles throughout the state of Louisiana.
To register, please fill out a form online at GordonGives.com or GetGordon.com. And make sure to visit the Get Gordon Facebook page for additional details and chances to win. From all of us here at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, Merry Christmas and God bless.
All right, welcome back. Monday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we are brought to you by our friends over at RMB, and we are live here from Click Here Digital. Remember, over at Click Here Digital, we're taking care of your full-service digital marketing plans, from everything from setting your Google ads to your social media ads to creating your content and everything from a digital marketing standpoint we can handle. If you want a direct contact, email me, Jordy at clickheredigital.com, or online at clickheredigital.com. Love it over here, man. Team is great. Over 120 on staff here on campus, here over 150 worldwide, setting digital marketing plans for people coast to coast. Find out more online at clickheredigital.com or email me, Jordy at clickheredigital.com. All right, phone is lined up, 318, new number this week, 318-794-9133. Remember, our policy here, just a little name, where you're from. We kind of like to hear where you're from, and then jump right into it. We're doing good. We think that you're doing good. So have a take, don't suck. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Did we lose him? Nope, got him. Here we go. You're live. What's your name? Where are you calling from? One second. Lloyd's screwing with the phone. All right. Not yet. Hang on. Lloyd's back on the on the producer here.
Hello?
Yes. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Go ahead.
It's Ryan again from Central Arkansas.
Hey, Ryan. How's it going, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How y'all doing?
Good. What you got?
I think it's really important going into this off season. I know we're not there yet, but I think it's really important that Brian Kelly, with wanting to get to elite status, and he keeps preaching that, and I love that, that's great that we're hearing that. But I think it's really important. I know we can't really say that about our defense right now. Gosh, no, we need a lot of issues changed over there. But for the offensive sake and for the younger guys that are coming into the program or guys that are there now, I think it's important to look at them in the eye and say and ask the question, did you do this because we had to based off our defensive issues this year, or did you do this because you wanted to? And I think that's something really important to be asking each other is this should be the standard. This shouldn't be something that, hey, we put up 52 points against Florida because we had to. You should want to do this. And, I just think that shouldn't go unnoticed. That's really all I had as far as, with the eliteness. I think, if you're wanting to work towards elite, I think that's something really important that you need to ask yourself. Like, I know you don't want to do that with Jayden Daniels and you're starting quarterback, and maybe you're starting 11 out there all the time, but that should be something that is a goal that you should be saying, and asking yourself as a player, did I do everything I could do to benefit this program in working towards that status? And I don't think, would you lax up if our defense was better? I think that's something important to ask yourself, and that's really all I had, guys. I'll hang up and listen to your thoughts.
Ryan, good call, man. I appreciate you checking in from Arkansas. It's always good to hear. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's happening this year. I mean, you're trying to create a standard. I think more importantly, you have to really look at the evaluation of the player. I think that you have to really kind of dive deep into the recruiting and, what is the standard there, who you're bringing in, what type of competitor you're bringing in. I think that's, really kind of where the conversation starts. I think that's where some of the off-season discussion and moves will begin and really circulate it around. I think that's, going to be a major portion of whoever steps in, whoever takes over, who takes a role, whoever takes any type of job that may be opening up. Have a take, don't suck. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Jordy, Chase from Hammond.
Hey, Chase, what you got?
A couple things. I think, one thing you got to look at is, as you guys discussed earlier, in the discipline thing. Texas A&M just fired Jimbo Fisher and gave him $76 million. Why? Look at Denver Harris. Drove too fast in a parking lot. Did he play the rest of the season? Nope. Now he's gone. Weeks doesn't play enough. What do you think's going to happen to him? Probably going to leave. How do you think Perkins feels right now? As a fan, that would suck. The other thing, we have an elite offensive staff, and Kelly hired an elite offensive staff. He went new guard with old guard. He went Denbrock with Sloan, Wilson with Hankton, and then Brad Davis, who was your interim head coach. Defensive staff, Matt House, who had the 80th ranked defense at Kentucky. Another dude from the NFL, Kerry Cooks, who was an analyst. Jancic, outside linebackers. That's where the problem lies. And as I said 2 weeks ago, until you get rid of everybody, no change will happen. Thanks. Have a good one.
Good call. I agree. I think that that's a great breakdown of the personnel and really the part of it. To the phone lines, let's go. 318-794-9133 is the phone number. Have a take, don't suck. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Larry calling from Houston.
What's up, Larry? What you got?
What's going on, bro? Hey, man, everybody getting this all twisted, bro. Man, BK, he coached the right way all year, and he played the right players. Tell you why. Because, first of all, the people he brought in, we got to remember last year, both corners are playing in the NFL. One got drafted and one walked home. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He made the team.
Right.
On the defensive line, you had B.J. Ojibwala on one side, and Perkins was cutting up. Man, that defense, they lost a lot from last season. A real lot. And the people they brought in didn't step up. The D-line show is trash. Other than Makai.
Mm-hmm.
But, BK did what he was supposed to do, and he didn't want to go ahead and put these young guys in, and I understand why. You got these other guys you got to come and transfer. These guys got to make some tape for the next level. And for you to go ahead and you got to sell these guys to come to LSU. We got to remember, this is a different age. NIL and the transfer, this is a whole totally different age.
Good call. I appreciate you listening, man.
All right, bro. Thanks a lot, bro.
You got it, man. Remember, on the phones, 318-794-9133. That is the phone number. Have a take, don't suck. Give us your name, where you're calling from. LSU, of course, rolls through Georgia State on Saturday night. They will take on Texas A&M. Brian Kelly will meet with do his press luncheon at his regular time at noon today. We will have that reaction for you tomorrow. To the phone lines we go. Have a take, don't suck. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Easy, Richmond, Virginia.
Yes. What's up, Easy?
Hey, what's going on? Listen, in the state of Louisiana, you might not know who the governor is, but you know who the quarterback is at LSU.
That's right.
I've seen them all. My first one was Alan Risher, right? And Jayden Daniels might be the best one that we've seen of all time. And one thing I want to commend him on is he's done this in a space of constant scrutiny, and he's handled it with class. I want to talk about West Weeks as well, and talk about him not playing for the last 3 games. Hey, Jordy, I hear you talking, but listen, brother. If this man has not been playing for 3 weeks, he had to do something pretty egregious for him not to play for 3 weeks. And finally, the LSU fan base. I've been reading a lot online lately and listening to some people talk about BK, and it's atrocious. You know, people are calling for him to leave, for him to get fired. And, you know, our fan base is really a fanatic base where we kind of get into the fan part too much and we don't think a lot. People forget what he brings to the program, what the professionalism that he brings, and what he's done in 2 years. Let's give the guys a break. Hey, guys, you have a great day.
Easy. Great to hear from you, man. Have a great Thanksgiving. Have a great week. Thanks for listening up there in Virginia. We will keep the phone lines open and moving. 318-794-9133. Have a call. Give us a name where you're calling from. We appreciate you listening. And as always, we appreciate the interaction. Make sure and give us a like, a share, a follow, if you don't mind. If you have not subscribed to the channel, a subscription, if you don't mind. All right, here we go. Back to the phone lines. Let's go to the phone lines we go. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Detroit. Sean from Detroit.
What's up, Sean?
And yeah, man. Sorry because it's phone delay. But I called you like a year ago, and I said when Nussmeier got into that SEC game, that Jayden Daniels, a light went off. And you see this year with that light, I said, yeah, I kind of hesitated when I said he kind of looked like Joe Burrow, but shit, he had a Joe Burrow year this year.
Yeah, he did.
So what I'm trying to say is that, you know, like I said, man, we were blessed with Jayden Daniels, but like I said, like last year, we needed those skis. Now we need the boys from the mud. We got to go back to that 1988 Miami Hurricane defense, convicts versus Catholics.
Convicts.
We need some convicts. We need, like Deion Sanders said, man, we need to get them guys who got to get out the hood.
That's right.
So, and that'll show up that defense, bro. We ain't got no thugs on there. Like the first game we played, when I remember some Florida guy pushed the guy, and nobody did nothing. Now, back in the day, shit, bro, would have been on and popping. Head splitting, wings getting straight up, split open. That's what we need. We need some straight up hood boys, man, for real. For the boot. Louisiana is made like a boot. That's for kicking ass. And that's what we need. Fuck all them good grades and all that shit. We don't need no president. We need thugs. That's what they need. On that team and that defense, we show up and we'll get a natty within the next 2 years. All right, that's my take. I'm out. Have a good one.
Sean, what a call, dude. I mean, that's a Hall of Famer.
Fix the team.
That's a Hall of Famer. What a great call. Sean from Detroit listening in. He has our ways to fix the defense for LSU. 318-794-9133. Remember, daily here, we're brought to you by our friends over at Hughes Mechanical. Hughes Mechanical Contractors is located over in Zachary, but they got offices over in Covington as well. You can give our friend Travis Hughes a follow and hit him on social media, but you can find them at hughesmechanical.net. Residential, commercial, HVAC services, air conditioning you can trust. 225-658-2147 or online, hughesmechanical.net. All right, back to the phone lines. Have a take, don't suck. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's up, Jordy? It's Wade, baby.
What's
out of
up,
Houston
Wade?
from Ruston, baby. Mighty Bearcats, baby.
What's up? How you doing, Wade?
Hey, Jordy. I'm on the LSU forums and everything after the game, and all I see is they left Jayden Daniels in too long. Us need some snaps. Man, if you go kick rocks and stub your toe, Jordy, I love Nuss, but do you disagree or agree with me? LSU needs to bring in a transfer quarterback in the portal next year to push Nuss. Or if Nuss ain't the guy, hey, man, I'm for LSU. I ain't for Nuss. I'm just saying. What are your thoughts on it? I'm going to hang up. Backhand to the dome. Peace!
Appreciate you, Wade. Thanks for listening, man. I think that they are shopping that position in the portal. I think that they want some depth. You've seen Brian Kelly's strategy there, and I think that he's handled the quarterback flawlessly since he's been here. I mean, every year, the 3-quarterback competition, you're going to lose one naturally. First year, you lost Miles Brennan. Second year, you lost Walker Howard. I think next year, you'll probably lose one as well in the sense of the competition, but I think he's looking to bring somebody in there. Look, Jayden Daniels' skill set, that's the skill set that really annoys Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, some of these top defensive minds in the league that you go against. You can see that his ability to throw it and run it really is an issue. I mean, it's a problem for defensive coordinators, and I think that's the skill set that you're looking for. I believe and still think that Nussmeier can win you games, and he's a guy that competitively you love to roll with, and if he's your quarterback, I think you've got a chance to win. I do believe and agree with you, Wade. I think that they are going and looking for more competition there. Not that that's saying they don't believe in Nussmeier. I think that they just want to have as many options as possible at that position, knowing that you'll lose one and you'll have a guy stick. And I think that they've handled the quarterback as far as Kelly and his staff goes flawlessly since they've been here. I mean, obviously they're about to win the Heisman Trophy. All right, let's go to the phone lines. To we go. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Sabrion from Georgia, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for listening. What you got?
Hey, man, I'm kind of interested to see this offseason what the sales pitch is going to be from Brian Kelly to guys like Wes Weeks and Taviano and all them guys like that. I mean, if it's, like you said, if it's a disciplinary thing for those guys that be playing, then so be it. Handle it, like you said, running the bleachers. But I don't see why Wes Weeks is not getting rotational snaps in with Omar Speights, along with guys like Deshaun Womack and Quincy Wiggins, why they're not getting the efficient rotational snaps. I feel like that's kind of hurt us this season with guys playing 80% of the snaps. Those guys are tired. I mean, the offense is scoring so fast, and they can't stop nobody on defense, so why are they not rotating guys more in?
I agree with you 100%. That's really my take on, like, Wiggins and Taviano. Like, earlier in the year, like, if those guys, like, and not necessarily Wiggins, he's not logging any time, but like Taviano, I mean, if down the line you want to get him some starting time, or he might compete for starting time, you got to get him some reps earlier in the year so he doesn't cut his teeth against Bama on the road. And, for a guy like Wiggins, I mean, I just think he can spell guys. He can go in there for a snap or two. You look up at the end of the game and he plays 8 snaps, 9 snaps, and he goes in there and just gives you a little bit of relief.
Yeah. And one more thing. I'm from the Peach State, right? I'm a diehard LSU fan. I'm a diehard New Orleans Saints fan. If the damn Saints don't draft up to go get Jayden Daniels, I'm coming down there and I'm starting a damn riot. I would rather see Jayden Daniels struggle as a rookie than watch Derek Carr throw another damn football with all the weapons that he has.
And I believe I just saw SI do their mock draft, and they had him going 11 to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, or to the
Falcons.
Falcons.
I don't want to see him in the NFC South if he's not with the Saints. I agree with you. I agree with you.
If we don't get Jayden, we have to draft a first-round quarterback. We have to.
I agree with you.
You're going to get Spencer Rattler.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. You have a good day.
All right, thank you, man. 318-794-9133. That is the phone number. Remember our friends over at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Over at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works, they remind you shit happens, and if it does, you can get in touch with Jude and the crew over at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Our friend Jude Barker's got a couple of trucks working East Baton Rouge Parish, and you've also got they originate over in Plaquemine, and you can find them there at Barker Brothers. Just by getting in touch with Jude and the crew. We appreciate them, as always, for the support. We appreciate your interaction as well. Make sure and hit that like button, that share button, that comment button. as we appreciate you being there. We remind you, if you have not subscribed to the show, hit that subscription button. All right, to the phone lines we go. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Jordy, it's Humberto from Albuquerque, from Mexico.
Nice. Humberto, what's going on, man?
Now, just calling in, just want to say JD5 is exceptional. Love everything he's doing. Hate the defense. Hate to see the lack of respect that Matt House has for the freshman DBs. You know, we've been seeing it all year. They play 5-6 yards off the ball. I mean, what are we doing? They're not. I mean, they know how to play man coverage. That's what they did in high school. Just cover that guy. It's not hard. But now I just want to call in. Love the show. Love you guys listening every morning here at work. So catch you guys later.
Shout out Humberto in Albuquerque. We appreciate you listening, man. Thanks for being there. Thanks for calling in and interacting. And look, I wish they play 5 to 6 yards off the ball. I mean, they play 12 to 15 yards off the ball. I mean, they give up so much free space that it's point shaving. I mean, it's like, get up there and check him. And that's what I agree as well, man. Like, why, if you recruit a certain athlete and you bring them in and then you ask them to do and completely change their skill set, I am all for teaching. I am all for developing. I'm all for making a player more, giving more in a tool set, right? Like, you've got a skill set and a tool set. When you leave a program, you should have more tools, more skills in your tool set than when you showed up with. But if you recruit a player specifically who does one thing in high school the majority of the time, you got to expect him to at least have some type of transition where, I mean, there has to be some type of grace period where he's allowed to go out there and play that style for a bit, or at least some. I mean, you're asking, it's very, you can sense the awkwardness of it, right? I mean,
has it gotten to the point where you think they're maybe communicating? I mean, Matt House gave up 22 points a year. 22 points a game last year. This year, it feels like he's protecting so much against the defensive back end where he's got, look, you swung and missed in the portal. There's no two bones about it. You don't have corners. You get J.K. Johnson gets hurt.
Yeah.
And, it just wasn't what it was supposed to be, how you tried to build it. And now you still kind of see what they're doing defensively in the recruiting room for defensive backs, where it doesn't feel like you feel very confident in it. Is this Matt House gets a sense of reprieve a little bit? Because when you look at the totality of no defensive line coach, didn't recruit it the right way,
you have to be realistic about it. You have to be realistic about, going into the season, LSU's top concern from a team standpoint was the defensive backfield, was some of the replacements that you had to make defensively, most notably in the backfield with guys that really, came in and, looking back, saved you. Jarek Bernard Converse, Mekhi Gardner. Those guys were godsends, right? And to try and replace that again was going to be the big question mark at LSU, and it just simply hasn't worked out. And for that, you have to be realistic in the sense of what the expectation for a defense is and for a team is. But I think when you look up and you notice guys like Taviano and even Ashton Stamps to that point, I think Taviano from a prospect standpoint is a little bit more probably physically ready for college football. I think Stamps is going to be really good when it all shakes out. Once he has time to get out there, learn it, physically develop and play more. But just where are they? Why wouldn't you play them against Grambling? Those guys should play 3.5 quarters. I saw Terrence Welsh got a chance the other night. The guy placed a perfect pass over the top of him, but he got beat. He was in one-on-one, played man-to-man.
All the things you'd like to see.
Yeah, right. Everything that you've asked for, and he just
got beat. It's going to happen.
Didn't make the play.
It just feels like they're so conservative on the defensive end that you look up and all those 3 games that you lost, you were in them, but you were lucky to be in them, and that's what a lot of people are calling for House's head. It's like, I don't know if they just he didn't have a lot of tools in the toolkit. Like I said, you don't have a defensive line coach. You don't know how to use Harold Perkins because you're deficient other places. You swing and miss in the portal. And then you have, obviously, another health concern with Greg Brooks, who was going to be your guy on the back end that you could have, rubber stamp it. He's going to play. And now you go into the Texas A&M game, and it feels like Andre Sam's not going to be out there because he's just taking a beating.
I mean,
what more can he do?
He looked hurt.
Yeah. But that's because he's playing 90 snaps a game on defense where he's trying his best. But they just don't seem to have a rotation where's Colin Jackson, especially Saturday, where it's like this is a great opportunity for you to get some snaps.
Yeah, that's the stuff that just I'm sure I don't when you watch you're like, man, where are those guys? You know, I mean, where?
How could it hurt?
Yeah, why not?
You're gonna score 50.
Why not? I mean, just throw it out there.
Earn it.
Yeah, I mean, it's and look,
chain
all that stuff that we asked for. You saw Welsh, you saw Stamps, you saw.
Finally,
I mean, now you've seen Taviano, you've seen.
And it wasn't, and that's to say, it wasn't like a cure-all. It wasn't much better, but at least you got some reps. It just feels like he's so limited defensively because of what he has to call, or he doesn't trust those guys at all. But that also, I mean, I don't know if Spates is hurt again, but I mean, he's running out there with no intention of. He's not. I'm not trying to call the man out, but it just feels like whenever he was right, he was playing so well. Then you can obviously see the deficiency whenever he's hurt, because he was flying around a little bit before the Alabama game, and it's just like, what are we doing on defense when you got other guys out there that could probably play and they're not getting snaps? And I know this is easy, to say, but you have to win this A&M game to kind of save your season, in the sense of, okay, or you pretty much dug your grave on you have to win the Heisman. If you're going to go all in like this, like you have, where he's playing 3 quarters against Georgia State and 8 touchdowns, and you're running quarterback sneaks, you're lucky Jayden Daniels is still alive. The dude's is made of nails.
Yes.
I mean, and the way that he's playing.
You have dodged many bullets.
So has he.
I mean, that Jordan Travis injury.
That's what made me think of it.
I mean, I was.
You're undefeated.
Sick to my stomach watching that. And it wasn't real time, but we were watching football, and I saw it on social media, and they showed the highlight of it. And I mean, how many times have you seen Daniels do that? You know, I mean, how many times have you seen him play in the middle of the field? You know, I mean,
he
really
was cutting back.
I mean, he's
Saturday
still
night.
he wasn't sliding.
He slid once
in the third quarter, fourth quarter.
I've seen him slide twice in his career.
But that Jordan Travis injury, man, that was so sad. I felt so horrible for he and his family. I mean, just Florida State, for as much as we've gone back and forth on social media and they've been a part of the show, I mean, I thought, man, that's
not what you want to see.
Oh, no way. That's so bad for the game, in the sense of just, you love to see, I mean, Florida State being competitive is better for college football. Yeah, right. I mean, it makes college football a better sport. And Jordan Travis was a very likable figure from an opponent standpoint, and when you watch them play, you could see that he was their clear-cut leader and taking him off the field. Now, look, I think if they beat Florida and they win the ACC championship, they should still get their spot in the Final Four. I mean, I think that they've done enough, and they've got enough players. Their defense is good enough. I mean, I know that they become a huge underdog, and it's still a TV show, and you still have the human element of people deciding whether or not who goes, how it happens. I still think you can't punish that team if they take care of their business on the field, that they're still, they still would be an undefeated team if they beat Florida and then they beat who would they play in the ACC title game? Would it be North Carolina?
Is it Little Clemson?
No, maybe Louisville.
Louisville, that's who it is. It'd be Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville.
Clemson just keeps, after that little juicy RG3 running with Dabo.
I think Dabo planted. He
of
planted
course.
Tyler from Spartanburg.
Tyler.
I think he planted him. Pulled the old Nick Saban plant.
But I'm trying to. Tade Roadmaker.
What is that?
Florida State's backup. That's your new starting quarter seat at the table.
What
coach.
is that?
Yeah. It's not great.
Tade
Roadmaker.
Roadmaker.
That's why mom named you Roadmaker.
Is his name?
Yeah.
Sounds like a car.
That's why mom called you Joe Dirt. Wanamaker.
I tell you what, though, he stepped in there and made 2 pretty good passes.
Yeah.
He's not Jordan Travis.
13 of 23 for 217 and 2 tuds against UNA. But,
I mean,
they were already having debates about this was on College Game Day. They were playing a bunch of hypotheticals, but they were trying to kick Florida State out the playoff if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship. Like, we got to have both of them in, right? Florida State's like, we're undefeated in the ACC and we're going to get booted?
Sorry.
Yeah, we don't know. You know you're not going to win, right?
Nobody likes Clemson.
And now you get your starting
bad
quarterback
loss.
hurt. Like,
LSU's got the worst defense in the history of college football.
but like them doing the 4-team playoff between Washington and obviously Georgia, Alabama, and they were playing like hypotheticals. They're like, I don't even know if Florida State's in. It's like, I mean, it makes sense though. Where you're like, they're not gonna win.
Oh, no.
Michigan, Ohio State, they're like one of them's gonna get in. And now you have Florida State with a backup quarterback. Like that might factor into what they decide because it's in good football.
How uneasy are you as a Florida State fan waking up
14-0?
this morning? I mean, like you go. It feels like Auburn 22. What was that? 2004.
Yeah.
Oh God, go undefeated in the SEC and get left out of the Natty.
Win the SEC championship. Like, I guess I'll just hold my dick in my hand.
I mean,
we got one more call.
Who was that? Oklahoma, USC.
Mm-hmm. Had to see it. It's like,
yeah.
Like Auburn's pretty good.
Golly, man, that would have been a great game. Phone line?
Yep. Hold on. Let me give him a shout back.
All right, let's remember our daily sponsor here over at Click Here. We love our team over at Click Here. ClickHereDigital.com. Online is where you can find them. Got huge office space over here, over 120 employees under the roof, 150 worldwide, setting digital marketing plans for you, social media ads, Google ads, all of that right here on site taken care of. You've got a team that you can reach out to, get in touch with. Jordy at ClickHereDigital.com, Jordy at ClickHereDigital.com, or online, ClickHereDigital.com. All right, to the phone lines we go. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
CK from Dallas.
Hey, CK, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, my man? Hey, just kind of getting on late with you guys, but I hear the topic of discussion is defense again, and playing this game a long time, man. A lot of guys, we've seen it, we know what we're looking at, and my goodness, is anyone noticing just how unathletic we are at linebacker, and we have to see this over and over again. I mean, we're at a point in the season where the young players should be getting 15, 20 reps a game, and linebacker is a place where we need to see some young guys who are more athletic than what we have right now. I like that we have leadership and seniors and all that, but in the end, it's the haves and the have-nots, and these big guys at linebacker we have right now, they just cannot cover in space. They have slow eyes, and they cannot hit with intensity and run through guys. So I'm ready to see some young guys at linebacker so we can get better evaluation.
It's a great call. I appreciate you being out there, and we focused on that a lot during the first hour and created a lot of debate and conversation inside of our chat, and a lot of the people that were calling in were on that as well. Yeah, I agree. I think that you look at the linebacker position, and you especially, what's a little frustrating there is that you saw a youngster early on in the year really show flashes of development, guys that, if you commit to by this point of the schedule, you figured he'd be playing, at even a higher level than he was earlier on. That was a very elite level for, a true freshman. And we're talking about Whit Weeks, right? I mean, if you go back to his 3-game stretch versus it was Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Auburn in 3 successive weeks. Not only was he the leading tackler each of those games, he's around the football every play. He may not make the right play every single down, but you love his effort, you love his energy, you love the way he flies around out there, you love his intent, you love the way he just plays. I mean, he's got a disposition to him that just
brought life to the defense.
He's looking to create a hit. He's looking to create a play. He's looking and always looking for the ball. That's something that I would think that you would just kind of, want more of if you're trying to develop him. And now, 3 straight weeks of 3 really big games, or take the Georgia State game off the plate, but Alabama, Florida, And then, of course, this week with a chance to get a lot more reps, a lot more development, a lot more experience under your belt for a true freshman is just time that you can't recreate. You just can't get back, right? And I agree with the caller. I think that, they have that player that you're asking for. Somebody to fill the hole, somebody to explode through the play, somebody to make the play on the ball, somebody to read, react, and get to the ball with, an attitude to him. You saw that in Whit Weeks. And for whatever reason, whatever's going on, he just doesn't play. He just doesn't play. 3 weeks in a row, he just hadn't played. 0 reps in 3 weeks for Weeks is something that, you'll never get that back. You'll never give him a chance on the road at Alabama with your defense not stopping a nosebleed. Your defense can't stop anything. Nothing.
We're going to stick to principles here.
And just let him watch. Let Milroe run. I mean, they're still talking about Milroe as a Heisman candidate because of what he did 2 weeks ago in Tuscaloosa.
And if this was a disciplinary situation, like, do you think that makes Weeks better? Him having to be there to just sit there and watch. It's like, you're part of the game plan, but because of maybe a reason that we deemed you shouldn't be able to play, you have to sit here and watch.
I don't know what I don't know it. I just know that if you want a linebacker that gets to the ball, that gets there with an attitude and wants to, it looks like wants more of it, you got the guy right there in 40. I mean, just play him.
And if you hold him out of those games whenever coach, transfer portal exists for a reason. Like, I'm checked out. I'm good. Came here to play with my brother. Y'all wanted me. There's another one that's coming up the pipeline. It pissed me off.
Look, I hear you on that. It doesn't have to be like that. It's just like just play the best player.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's precedent for, like, if you're gonna go the disciplinary route. But that was when they had nowhere to go. You're signed for 3 years, brother. You're here whether you like it or not. You can quit and go to Division II. Now it's, what Weeks look good in Crimson. Texas would love to have him.
Well, no interconference. You can raid Texas A&M because they've had a fired coach and get him eligible immediately. And that would be like some of my plan. I would go.
Florida State. I mean, I'm just saying, schools that are, he's going to Oregon.
Yeah. Dan
Lanning doesn't want. That's danlanning.com.
Oh, man.
My piss is hot.
Dan Lanning.
I woke up pissed off. He's doing it.
He is.
Who do you think he's going to get this A&M job?
Herb.
You think just quietly?
Kind of.
I would hope so.
I mean, the SEC to me has just become a big gun league. It's like...
That's what I'm saying. You can't hire UTSA. I mean, respect to what he's doing, but if you bring him into that, his head's going to start to spin. Like, wait, what's going... I was happy at UTSA. Like, I got there because all of the reports coming out last week were, we want a guy that gets it at Texas A&M, a Texas football coach. And, okay, you can either go big if you swing and miss. That's a huge, like, your A&M is big, laughing again. Everybody's laughing, pointing and laughing at A&M again. But if you just go do we didn't really do anything higher, then you're not relevant in the conference. It's adding Texas, who you hate, and Oklahoma, who is also a rival whenever they get to the SEC. Like, this is all your recruiting grounds that you're trying to, like, bid for, and you're going to bring in a UTSA head coach, or are you going to bring in Herb?
Right.
How do you make a splash?
Right.
And it feels like they might go to the well one more time. If we swing and miss on Herb, and he doesn't pan out,
yeah, right.
Fine, whatever. We're still laughing.
Clear everybody
You're still
out.
laughing at us.
Clear everybody out. Eddie Haskell says, Jordy, what makes you think you know who the best player is? I don't. My eyeballs tell me that Whit Weeks is better than Omar Speights, though. Does it not tell you that, Edward? I mean, like, do you want to debate whether or not Speights is better than Weeks in what you've seen of the data? I mean, when Speights is healthy and right, he had some flashes where he looked like the guy that you got out of the transfer portal that was the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year and the leading tackler for Oregon State for the last 3 years. I mean, that looked and had flashes. The consistent player who looked like the more, the better player is Whit Weeks. I mean, do you argue that? I'm just curious. I mean, really, and what would be your points? I mean, I've got Whit Weeks leading the team in tackles for the 3 games that he played early in the season, around the ball every play. Hell, look at him when he was on the kickoff team. When he was on special teams, he was around every play. I mean, some football players just have a knack for the ball, have a knack for making a play. He felt like that guy early on. Am I debating whether or not that I know more football than Matt House? No. That guy's forgotten more football than me. He knows what football looks like 10 times more than I do, 100 times more than I do. I'm not here to debate that stuff. But my eyeballs tell me that Whit Weeks is better than Omar Speights. Does it not tell you that, Edward? I mean, at some point, we're all just watching football, right? I mean, that's what it kind of just goes back to. And no, I'm not sitting here telling who Matt House needs to play, but
he sees it more than we do.
I do look at the games and say it's pretty easy to tell that 40's better than 1.
It's not only that; it's maybe just a change because you're giving up touchdowns in 5 plays. Like, well, what's the worst that could happen? Like, it doesn't matter regardless of who's better than not. Like, I don't like to demean college kids, and they're all trying hard. I get all that, but like, what does it hurt to run out Quincy Wiggins or Swinson or Walmack whenever he plays one snap, gets the pressure, you take him out, you don't see him again?
But see, like, I don't get Braden Swinson. Like, Braden Swinson, to me, like, here's a player that, like, his grades tell you, like, when, like, you get his stuff back, like, the way he affects the game, the pressures, the sacks,
all the things that you're lacking.
Everything that you need, he does. And then you turn back on the film, and it's like, and you turn back on the TV, and he's not there. It's like,
he plays more snaps than Ovie Gofu does, but he doesn't start. And then it's just, even that, like,
it's pulling teeth.
You're doing the, senior leader that Brian Kelly had coached before, got him from what he went from Notre Dame to Texas to LSU. And it's like, oh, I give him the respect to start the game. I get that. But these first 4 reps are starting to matter when you're LSU defensively because they're going to score. Like, we don't have really any downs to play with.
I mean, that's the deal. Like, I mean, they just don't stop anything. It's like
it's almost over. I don't know what they're going to do next year, but
it could get worse. I mean, in reality, well, A&M
realistically, they don't have a quarterback.
No, next year.
Oh, no, we're not going to go there yet.
Yeah.
We're going to win 10 games this year. Let's get there. Because I'm interested to see how this Heisman race finishes up, because we'll talk about this probably more throughout the week. But there's a world where, like, it feels like Jayden Daniels has finally solidified his seat at the table. Like, the Marvin Harrison conversation's gone. Bo Nix, 6, I'll raise you 8.
No, I think it's Nix and Daniels. The only thing that makes me nervous about it is the Washington-Oregon game where Daniels has
He can't play.
He can't play.
I mean,
he can't.
What do you do?
That's why he was scoring 8 touchdowns.
He ain't gonna do it again.
I mean, like, how many can I score for you to remember me?
Don't forget about me. Like, we were all watching we were at the tailgate watching, like, Bo Nix, and we saw the bottom line. We're like, oh, shit, 6 touchdowns, 410 yards. Like,
right.
It's like, he's going to have to.
Fourth quarter game tonight.
Yeah, Jade, you have to put up 8. Okay, here you go. And he wanted to go back in.
Yeah, I mean, why? If you're playing that well, why wouldn't you?
But then he's going to have a scenario where there's nothing you can do about it. You're going to be watching Michael Penix, Bo Nix, Heisman moment. It's going to be played up because that's how television works.
This will be the best defense that he plays against all year.
A&M?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
So, I mean, there has to be some type of this is, look, if he passes this test, there has to be some type of highlight to it.
I don't think he'll get the recognition because of what A&M's record is.
No, I agree with that. But I think that people that are in the know of college football understand it's the best defensive backfield he's going to face, without question.
Best D-line.
It's the best D-line.
That or Alabama. It's a toss-up.
Or Florida State.
Yeah. But it's almost, it feels like you just expect him to do it again. Like, there's not going to be a fault. Like,
I absolutely expect him to shine. But
if he goes,
this is a test. This is a game where you can't, I mean.
But even if he goes 250, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and a rushing touchdown, it's like, that's not going to do it. He's got to be Superman again.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's got to be a splash number where you're like, holy shit, what am I still watching?
He has to be Superman every Saturday. specifically for this defense.
Mhm.
I mean, like, his margin for error.
It's slim to
it's
none
an
to
eyelash.
0.
I mean, look at the biggest plays in the losses. The fumble against Ole Miss, the interception against Alabama. You know, I mean, in
The interception against Florida State, the interception against Alabama.
Florida State, there's an interception as well. I mean,
A dropped ball.
yeah, a drop pass.
And same thing with, I mean, I'm not casting aspersions, but Mason Taylor and Chris Hilton. Like 2 drops that you absolutely just had to have. But that's how much they need it. You have to be perfect offensively. I mean, they've punted 17 times this year.
That's wild. That's wild. Was it 2 weeks ago they never got to a third down?
Yeah.
I mean, that's stupid.
Yeah,
Like,
we're just watching it.
That's video game stuff that you don't even
You're on
like,
easy play.
You don't even recognize it. You know, like in the moment you're like, and then after the game when somebody's like, they didn't get to a third down, you're like, damn.
He's 15 for 15.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Like they didn't get to a third down.
And I think that's what's taken some of the national media to get there. Like, hold on, what did we just watch? Because it seemed so easy for him that you're like, oh, that was fun to watch. And then you look back at the numbers like, okay, we just saw something we need to talk about this a little bit more. Because I even do that. You go back and look at whether it be third down conversions or how quickly they're scoring on offense. You're like, I don't even know what I just saw.
Right.
He makes it look so easy at this point.
I mean, how good are they? Really? Like when you sit down and you're like, how good are I mean, like the best offenses I've ever seen, the best you just like start thinking these conversations out loud. And I remember like the first offense I ever recognized when I was like, kind of growing up as a kid and like turning into a young sports fan that was like, man, this offense is incredible. It was like Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Marshall Faulk, Ricky Prohl.
Ricky Prohl
was on that team. They were just it was
it's automatic.
Mike Martz was the offensive coordinator. Dick Vermeil was the head coach.
Silver Fox,
the greatest show on turf.
Yeah.
They went to back-to-back Super Bowls. Their quarterback won, I believe, 2 MVPs in Kurt Warner, maybe just a 1 regular season MVP. But then that started like the Patriots dynasty in 2001. They beat that team in 2001 in the Superdome and held the offense to
Tom Brady's spike.
13 points. It was Tom Brady's first game. It was Brady's first championship. But that offense, when it was clicking, when it was in its prime, when it was the greatest show on turf, and New Orleans was in the same division as them, so they came down. They played them twice a year, so you saw them up close every single year, and they would just murder everybody. But like Falk would come home, and you'd hear the story about Falk he'd work as a dome, and he'd sell the dome. He's
selling foam fingers in the dome.
He was selling dome foam as a kid, and come back and just torch them. But that was the first offense where you were like, man, this thing is unstoppable. Yeah, there's nothing you can do to stop this offense. And then like obviously Burrow and the crew in 19, this one feels like different in the sense of they feel very like video game-ish. Like those teams had Marshall Faulk was kind of an X factor on the St. Louis teams. Jamar Chase was kind of the guy on LSU's team.
It's Lamar Jackson at Louisville.
I mean, this offense is just
LSU's never had a quarterback like this.
Ever.
Like
ever.
Like even Pearlou does it. He ain't running 22 miles an hour down the field going for 85.
He's not running away from people like that.
And the fact that Jayden Daniels is throwing it like this has just been a total game changer. Like this game, like this team is approaching. If there's a video game, like you can't have LSU, like you can't have their offense,
right?
Or it's like this isn't fun to play against. It's
gotta be incredible.
It's Vic and Madden,
like a coach of that team. Like
what are you calling? Like just go figure it out. They can't stop. Like I said, look at the Georgia State defensive coordinator. He is.
Yeah.
I hope they said it cost him a job, but who else has stopped him?
Was he? He wasn't talking to Malik at the end of the game, was he?
I don't know.
I mean, like there was some. If you looked in that fourth quarter, Malik makes that toe tap catch on the sideline, and he kind of looks to their bench and is like, "You're like, y'all need to chill." Like, I mean,
appreciate y'all.
I'm cooking y'all.
But at least the other thing I'll take from that is it feels like the Florida game where LSU finally got a little fuck you back in them. Like from that first, they tried to get punked.
That's what I'm telling you, man.
Florida was trying to punk them in that at home.
By no means am I urging that play, but I mean you have to have some. You got to have a little attitude to you if you're going to play defensive football in college in the SEC. I mean, I mean,
no apologies
You can't
for
let
whatever's about
somebody
to happen
put
out
their
here.
hand on your face, man. And I mean, like, just they've lacked that.
It felt like they kind of got back to it, even on offensively. Whenever they Florida tried to bully Jayden Daniels, and Emory Jones ran over there. Like the offensive line was like, we're not doing this anymore. Like we finally are going to step up because now he's our guy. It's like, this is a Heisman. You don't get to touch him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like throw the record out the window. It don't matter. But A&M's going to try to do the same thing, where they're going to try to get in your ass early and be like, all right, it's bully ball. But for LSU to finally have a little bit of gumption to them, it's just good to see again. You're finally, the stone is turning over.
Well, and I think there's got to be a little bit of payback for LSU on this one this week from last year. This was probably LSU's worst game last season that they played.
Yeah, the biggest letdown.
This one or a Tennessee game.
Yeah, the biggest letdown spot for sure, where you still had a little bit more in front of you. We're like, well, if you win this one and you win the SEC championship, you might backdoor your way into the playoff because do they not let in an SEC champion into the 14 playoff? And then you just shit the bed. And so this has got to be at the top of mind.
I agree with you. Remember, get in touch with our friends over at Katie's in New Orleans. Katie'sInMidCity.com. Remember, Katie's is online, Katie'sInMidCity.com, and located on Iberville Street. Find out what's going on with Katie's today online. Great New Orleans favorites on that menu if you want to shop in and see them for lunch today. Cold beer, great service, located in Mid-City. Their sister restaurant, Francesca's, is located on and in Lakeview, and all their information is online as well at Katie'sInMidCity.com. Katie'sInMidCity.com is where you can find them online. Get in touch with Katie's today. Our friend Scott Craig and the crew. Make sure and tell them that you heard it here on the show. All right. Remember, we'll be here with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. We appreciate your calls and interaction today as we were here this morning on this Monday. Make sure and give us a like, share, and follow on the way out. If you have not subscribed to the show, make sure and hit that subscription. Have a great Monday. Brian Kelly speaking with the press today at noon. We will have that reaction for you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have some of that sound for you tomorrow as well.
What was that kid doing?
It sounded like he dropped something or Kelly. I mean, it sounded like Kelly made a reference to like he fell.
He looked blitzed.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on.
It's like, all right, well, I'm trying not to disturb you. It's like, we're doing a terrible job of it. It was a funny interaction, but it was a Marwan again. Like, this guy's just wandering up here. It's like, all right, this is after the game, dog. Like, get off the whatever you drop, you don't need. But we'll see if that happens again tomorrow.
Also, some LSU women's basketball news making its rounds. Look, I can tell you that Angel Reese has not been suspended for grades, and I'm not making a comment on what her status is with the team, but. This early on may not be the worst thing for this team to go through because, to me, this was inevitable. Not that it was with Angel, just at some point, all these personalities on this new team with so much success last season, so much stuff that you really can't account for, there was going to be some type of eruption that was going to have to be figured out, and you might as well figure it out in November rather than March. Right? So, I mean...
It's not shocking.
It is not... This, to me, is not very... Look, I know it's a huge story, and it will be, but I agree. This is not shocking to find out that LSU women's basketball has got to go through some things to figure it out before they get right, because I believe they will be right. They will get it right. But, it just might take him a little bit of time to put the train on the track.
And in the midst of all this, we have all this going on. Flage drops a double-double, then leads off Fred's. She performed at Fred's on Friday, like came back from the game, and it was like, I'm headlining Fred's. Like, this is unbelievable. Like, that's what you're dealing with. Like, that's a good thing in my mind, but they're as famous as they get in, like, this demographic, 18 to 25 or what have you, where Angel Reese is debating, like, should I come back for another year? Because I'm making possibly more money here than the WNBA, and then it becomes, how did I get to your head a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, think about it.
No.
I would be in jail.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, there is, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. I mean, and you almost have to account for there being some type of strife on teams if you think of all the great teams, like the great teams put together, there's always been a little bit of BS internally. You know what I mean? There's always been some stuff that you got to really work through that the public may not know all about it, but you can sense it when watching them play. And then when they turn the lights on, it's kind of what makes them great.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of the part of them that you're like, oh wow, now watch them feed off of one another, because there's no internal
strife.
Like it's no give me the ball type stuff. I just think it's a little bit of
hey,
who wears the crown around here?
Yeah, finish that lap out.
Right? It'll all work itself
Kim
out.
said she said it best. Like, I've been doing this for 40 years. That's all you need to know.
It'll all work itself out. It'll all work itself out. And I think when it does, it'll be beautiful chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it'll never feel stable, but it'll be awesome and beautiful to watch, because I think they'll have it. I mean, I think they'll get it figured out.
What's crazy? A lot of this is like the South Carolina fan base jumping in there and stirring the pot more than anything LSU related. Like they're jumping at the opportunity.
People hate Mulkey.
Yes.
Like she is
but they're the ones starting the rumor mill. It's like, you don't know shit.
No, it is
weird
out
part
of
the
out
Twitter.
of the book of like political hate. I mean, like there is so much. I mean, yeah, she made a COVID little poke over there. I mean, like it got. I mean, people are just like freaking out.
Is the time not passed yet? Like, I feel like you could make fun of it now.
Yeah, right. And
especially
I think
Kim Mulkey. I mean, when she got hired, she's like, I ain't wearing this.
She threw it. With John Bell,
we were there.
She was sitting John Bell was sitting in the front row.
Excuse me.
She's like, you got a message to my childhood friend. We're done with these, right?
Make sure y'all can hear me.
I mean, it was like, yes. I mean, she's
That's who
not
she
running
is.
Yeah, she's and I mean, I'm telling you, there's a lot of like public national disdain for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, a lot of pushback. I tell you, I was listening to the Lebertard show. I mean, they cannot stand her. Like every story that is, I guarantee you, this morning.
I can't wait. Even the local hour.
Absolutely. Like, did y'all hear what happened to Mulkey?
Hour.
Like her best friend.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be, but she'll get it figured out. And
that's what I'm saying. It's in good hands. It doesn't feel like
you'd rather do it in November than March, man.
Yeah, it's not a jumbo scenario. Like, even if she hadn't won a national championship last year and this was all blowing up the way that it is, like, you hired her for a reason. I trust her because she's done it before and she'll do it again.
A lot of personalities in one locker room.
The most she's probably ever had.
Yeah, a lot of personalities in one locker room. All right, have a great day. Have a great Monday. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. If you haven't subscribed, make sure and do so on the way out of here. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification. We about to go live. We got all your favorite guests. We got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show. Come have a good time. It's the hottest show around. We ain't got to flex. Call up G, we get it done.